And you've got agencies that are just, I don't know what the solution, and I've asked legislators all over the Capitol, what's the solution? As a young state senator from the sprawling southwest area of the state, give me your take on the budgets, the education budget and the general fund budget, the problems and what solutions you think and what remedy. I don't see any remedies people come up with. That's a broad question, so kind of tell me what your thoughts on the thing are.
Well, first of all, you started with Governor Bentley and his proposal. Even though I don't agree with what he has proposed, that we, as a way or a solution to our budget situation this year, which is the worst it's ever been in state history.
Maybe worse than the Depression, Mark.
It's worst. I would assume it's safe to say it's worse than any in our lifetime before.
It is.
But I respect Governor Bentley for proposing something, proposing a solution, because you know, last year was the second worst year we've ever had as far as the budget situation in our state. And, you know, since November of 2010, this is the first solution that's been proposed. So I respect that he did the work to propose that. I don't agree with the solution, but I respect the work that he put into it. So the problem is obvious, is we have a lack of money with no money machine like they have in Washington. The solution may be something that's not even possible or not even out there for us to discover, but what we're called on to do, I think, is to put in the work to determine.
It's not the legislature's fault. It's the economy's fault. It's not the past legislature's fault. But I'm sorry.
But we're called on to find out and determine what's the best way to handle it for Alabama, and that takes a lot of work and a lot of focus and effort, and that hadn't been going on in the past couple of years. You know, this is the worst budget crisis that our state's ever seen, and we chose this year to be the first year in our state's history not to have pre-session budget meetings. You know, that's always been looked at as part of the process, but you know, everybody knows there's nothing good that's going to come from it as far as any good news like that. You know, we know the situation, but you know, there's got to be a lot of work and a lot of effort put into finding a way to handle it that is best for Alabama, and that needs to go in on the front end. But so we have decisions to make. Every decision out there is a tough decision because there's no easy thing that's going to fix it. Whenever I got up here in 2006, I had the blessing to be able to have the opportunity to vote for pay raises for education employees and pay raises for state employees. You know, when I was as green as I could be and left Montgomery, went back to my district and realized how happy everybody was, and I just thought I could go up there and vote on a pay raise every year and everybody would always like me. And you know, we've been so far from being able to do that since then. You know, we don't know when we'll get back to those times. But as far as a solution that you talked about, all decisions that we can make are tough decisions, but to simplify, we have choices, and a choice that we have is who's our priority. And by that, the answer should be, in my opinion, Alabama citizens and Alabama businesses, so many other small businesses in Alabama. But you know, what's happened in the past couple of years, the choice has been made to take care of the big out-of-state corporations as opposed to our people that we represent here in Alabama. So what I'm getting at is out-of-state corporations and international corporations, they don't pay income tax in Alabama. They make a lot of money here in Alabama. They make a lot of money off of us, off of you and I and our families and our constituents, but they pay no income tax. They're not doing anything illegal by doing it. They've just got very smart and competent tax attorneys that have found loopholes in our laws here in Alabama that allow that. It's been estimated that by closing those loopholes that I'm speaking of would generate about $250 million. That's education money. And we've got,
it would all be education money.
We've got problems in education budget and general fund budget. but that's a choice that I think that needs to be made that'll put our priority where it should be.
$250 million, you think, in lost revenue and then the tax loopholes?
Just by requiring those out-of-state corporations to pay the same taxes that you and I do. And the general fund is a lot bigger animal. Like you said, we've got facing a 24% shortfall in our general fund budget. And when you talk about a $1.8 billion budget is what we're operating under right now, and 24% of that, a quarter of our general fund budget is what we're talking about. So,
and you're talking about you've already balanced the budget on the backs of state workers last year. They've already taken essentially a pay cut because they're paying more for the health insurance and for their retirement benefits. They're contributing more of that, which was a sizable, cut in pay for most people.
That's right. And last year, the supermajority looked at numbers in the budget. They found out how much money we have for our general fund budget, how much money we have for our education budget, and just started cutting. And the cuts applied to individual people, and we have a pro-business legislature in Alabama, and I'm pro-business, and we need to be pro-business, but we need to be pro-Alabama business instead of pro-out-of-state corporation business, and that's what we are right now, and we need to change our priorities. But back to the general fund budget, one thing that I think can be a part of the solution in our general fund budget is the revenues that our state receives each year from our oil and gas money, the oil and gas revenues. That is an amount of money that goes into the oil and gas trust fund, and our general fund receives interest from it that it earns each year. So it's a source of revenue for our general fund, but I think we'd have to do this through a constitutional amendment. But if we could stop the way we're doing that for just 2 years, and if we could send all of that money that we generate for 2 years directly into the general fund budget, and that money could then be used for, not only our state and agencies that are hurting so bad now, but also our cities and counties. And it's a significant amount of money. How much exactly, I don't know. But if we could do that, that would really, it may only be a Band-Aid, but it would be something that would keep our economy from being affected to the point that if we don't do something right now on the front end, 2 years from now, when we are kind of expecting the economy to get better, it's not going to be as soon as any of us want. But 2 years from now, we could really be in a position that we could bounce back a lot faster at that point if we adopted a measure like that in Alabama. 2 years we could go back to the way it's being done now and save so much of the backbone of our economy, which is so many workers. These numbers in our budgets affect people's lives, and there's jobs associated to them, and whenever we increase our unemployment numbers in Alabama, whether it's private jobs or public jobs, it's still jobs, and it affects our economy.
Yes, sure does. Well, Mark, we had a lot of issues we could have gotten to. We hadn't had time. Our time's up. Wish we could talk about tweaking the immigration law and maybe the road bond issue. Maybe we'll head back on the show. We can get on some more issues.
I hope so.
But our guest tonight, folks, has been Senator Marc Keahey from Southwest Alabama. Clark County is his home, and we've been talking about the state budgets and things going on in state politics. And we thank you, viewers, for watching Alabama Politics. And we hope you'll tune in again next week. Again, our guest has been Senator Marc Keahey. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Steve, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, viewers, for watching.
This has been Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, a production of Troy University Television. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Troy University, its administration, faculty, staff, or students.